Today we are going to be given three sides of a triangle, and we are to find the three angles that it would take to form this triangle. So in this case, we would have side A is 5, which means the length of the shortest side of your triangle is 5. Side B is 10, so the length of your longest triangle is 10. And side C is 7, so the length of the middle size leg of your triangle is 7. Okay? And we are supposed to find what three angles would make that up. Well, in order to do so, we would use the law of cosines. And you could find any angle you want first, but I'm going to show you why it would be smart to always start with the longest side. So here we go again. This is our 5, this is our 7, here's our 10. And we want to see the law of cosines. So we're going to start with b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine b. Of course, angle B is across from side B. Angle A is going to be across from side A. And angle C is going to be across from side C. If I start with the longest side and find the biggest angle first, we will come up with a method that you don't really have to worry at the end about what your answers have said. So here we go. We're going to substitute our numbers in. B is 10, so 10 squared equals A is 5, 5 squared, plus C is 7, minus 2 times 5 times 7 times cosine B. We do not know angle B. As you do that mathematically, 10 squared is 100. 5 squared and 7 squared is 25 plus 49, so we get 74. Minus 2 times 5 times 7 is 70, cosine B. Doing the order of operations, you cannot go 74 minus 70 because the 70 is being multiplied by cosine of B. So that's all one term. So in order to get rid of the 74, you are going to subtract 74 on each side. And when you do so, you get 26 equals negative 70 cosine B. Of course, then you're going to divide by negative 70, and you get approximately negative 0.3714 equals cosine B. We are going to use at least 4 decimals when we approximate these. Then you take the inverse of cosine to find the angle. And since that number was negative, this is going to be an obtuse angle. So angle B is 111.8 degrees. 111.8 degrees. Okay? Then we continue on. Now that we know an angle with its corresponding side, now we can find another angle using the law of sines. And I'm just going to go alphabetically. We have 10 over the sine of 111.8 equals 5 over the sine of A. If we go back and look at that triangle, 10 is corresponding to the 111.8 degrees, and 5 is corresponding to angle A. So we come up with 10 over sine 111.8 equals 5 over sine A. When we cross multiply, we're going to take 5 times 111.8 degrees, the sine of 111.8 degrees, and then we're going to divide that by 10. And we get 0.4642 approximately equals the sine of A. Then you will take the inverse of the sine, so second sine on your calculator of 0.4642, and it says 27.7 degrees. So angle A would be 27.7 degrees. So let's go back up to our picture and put angle A is 27.7 degrees. Okay. Well, once you know two angles of a triangle, to find the third angle, you just add the two angles together that you have and subtract them from 180. So we would have C equals 180 minus the sum of 27.7 plus 111.8. And when you subtract that, you will get C is 40.5 degrees. If we put that in our triangle, 40.5 degrees, it would make sense, just using our estimation skills, that this could be the right answer, because across from the smallest angle is the smallest side. So 27.7 degrees is my smallest angle, and the smallest side is 5. My largest angle is 111.8 degrees, and across from that is 10. And of course, my middle size angle goes with my middle size side. Okay, that is the correct answer, and that is the method that I would always do. I would always start with my largest side to do the law of cosines, and then go from there. Now I'm going to show you the same information and not starting with the longest side. So I'll cover that up so you don't see all the wrong answers. We're still going to start with A is 5, B is 10, and C is 7. But this time, instead of starting with the B squared like I suggest we do, I'm going to start with the A squared. So I'm going to start with A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A. Substituting the numbers in, I'd have 5 squared equals 10 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 10 times 7 cosine A. Doing that math, I'm going to have 25 equals 149, because 10 squared plus 7 squared is 149, minus 140 cosine A, because 2 times 10 times 7. When I subtract 149 on each side, I get negative 124 equals negative 140 cosine A. When you divide, you get 0.8857 equals cosine A. Therefore, taking the inverse cosine function, you would get A is 27.7 degrees. Well, if we look at what we had before, A was 27.7 degrees. So we are right on with angle A. So if this is 5, this is definitely 27.7 degrees, angle A. This is where we go astray. If we're really not thinking about it, we would just go alphabetically, and we would use the law of sines, and we would have 5 over sine 27.7, because A is corresponding to angle A, equals 10. So side B is 10 over the sine of B. And when we do our cross multiplication, 10 times the sine of 27.7 divided by 5, we would get 0.9297 equals the sine of B. And when you do the inverse sine, you get B is 68.4 degrees. So let's put 68.4 degrees in there, because that's still bigger than the 27.7. So it just might not be an obtuse triangle. All right. Once we do that, we're going to add the 27.7 with the 68.4 degrees and subtract those from 180. So we would get C equals 180 minus those two added together. C equals 83.9 degrees. So going back up to our picture, we would now say that C is 83.9 degrees. Well, at that point, we would have to say to ourselves, that doesn't make sense because across from the C is a 7. 7 is not the largest side of our triangle, yet the corresponding angle is our largest angle. 10 is our largest side of our triangle, yet the angle that corresponds to it is not our largest angle. The reason that this faltered is right in the middle, this red section, do not do. Okay? If you do the law of sines and you use the largest side, in this case it was a 10, in your law of sines in order to find the corresponding angle, well, if that is not an obtuse angle, you would not have a problem. But in this case, it was an obtuse angle. And your calculator is not going to give you that second quadrant angle for law of sines because it can't give you the first and second quadrant angle at the same time. So it only gives you the first quadrant angle. So my suggestion is always start your law of cosines with the largest side when you're given three sides, and you don't ever have to worry about this. But if you do not remember to start with your largest side, then you have to, when you're doing the law of sines, not use the largest side to find its corresponding angle, because if it is obtuse, it's not going to give it to you. If you would have gone 5 over sine 27.7 equals and 7 over the cosine of C, you would have gotten C to be 40.5 degrees, just like it was before. And then you could add the 40.5 with the 27.7 and subtract it from 180, and you would get the right answer. Okay? But my hint is just start with the largest side, and you will never have to worry with the law of cosines.